So let's go back into tuning the temperament quickly, and then go up into tuning the treble area, up into the treble. You need yourself a nice mute on a stick that you can put in between. When you get up in this area, you don't have your mute strip anymore. So you've got to go left string, then left string to middle string, and then middle string to right string. And then you listen to all three together and see if it's nice and pure. And then if you need to, you go back and do it again. So let's hear our A440. And right away. Now, if the strings are way below pitch, of course you're going to have an F that's so far below that it's going to have an extremely rapid rate of beating. But let's say that this is a touch-up tuning. It's already been tuned. It just needs to be touch-up tuned. So I know that the F is going to be kind of in the ballpark. And you can hear that. Now listen to that string and make sure it's nice and pure. You can move the string back and forth if you need to. You also need to have a good mute strip that's really muting out those outer strings, so you're only listening to that center string. Now I can hear. So it's very important that to be a tuner, you have to have a very good sense of the difference between beat rates. And you have to be able to hear those beat rates and say that one's faster than that one. Just like you need to have an ear that's capable of telling, if you listen to, let's say at ear doctor does a test where you have the earphones and they're going to play a certain frequency. Maybe it'll be 16,000 or something, and no, 1600. Well, let's say 1,000 cycles a second. And then they'll play 1,001 cycle per second. You've got to be able to hear the difference. You've got to be able to say the second one is faster, no, is higher pitch than the first, or lower pitch. That's very important. If you can't hear the difference between two different pitches very close together, well, you're not going to be able to tune it correctly. So let's say now back to the beat rate of the FA. And I can hear, then I can listen to F. Well, there between the tuning fork and the A, I can already hear a bit of a difference. And I think it's lower. The A is lower than the tuning pin. So I'm going to bring it up. Let's say that that this A, that's quite a bit different. Now here you actually, if you want to listen, this is A440. So where do you hear? You don't hear an overtone of A440. It doesn't exist on this string, this F. It doesn't exist because the first overtone is the octave, then the fifth, then the double octave, and then the A up here. It's up at 880, or in that range. Well, this tuning fork, maybe it does produce an 880, but you're principally listening to the 440 sound. So, if I listen to the octave down below this F, it's going to be producing an overtone and a certain, you'll hear a certain beat rate between . If I play that F, you see my hand is nice and I can stretch to an octave in third. That's really important to be able to have that stretch. It really makes things a lot simpler if with one hand you keep that hand nice and close to your body, so you can move up by half steps, and you can stretch an octave with your third finger, and you can play them together too. So let's say I listen again. I'm listening to listen again to here that this one is a little bit too high. So when you determine that your A is in harmony with your tuning fork, that's why it's a little bit easier to use on the app G strings on your portable telephone, and you can see the pitch, and you can bring it into the pitch, and then you put that app away. You just use it as an electronic tuning fork. And but if you only have the tuning fork, then you've got to work around and get yourself the A with this A. Now I can tune the A440 to this one. Make it nice and even. Now I can check that evenness. I can check to see if I'm too high or too low, because you could have a very slow beat rate. How can I check that? I listen to actually listening to the beat rate up here, a double octave up here. So I'm listening up to the double octave, the octave above this one, and the harmonic of the F. Okay. Now I can go right into getting myself an F that has 7 beats per second. This is the way to New York. This is the way to da 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 da. And then I can move on to my fourth here, the D. And I'm listening to that beat rate coming from up there. So I'm listening to that. Now the F is a bit faster. So I know already that that D has got to be too low. So I knock it up there with these little knocking jests on the boom, boom, boom. I don't have to do a big change in the tuning pin back and forth and try to get it to come in. I can just bump it. Actually, I think I need a thicker mute strip to really block off and listen to only that one string. So maybe this is a bit too thin, and it's allowing a bit of bleeding of the other strings, and I'm not getting a real accurate harmonic sound. So let's say that I've set this so it's beating 1 per second. Well, I know already that my 7 per second here, and this is going to be 8 per second, let's say. That is, it's going to be faster, the 6th. Now now if I play the chord, I'm going to hear the beat rate of the beat rates. That is, what I'm hearing is a beat rate of 7 and a beat rate of 8, and the difference between the beat rate of 8 and the beat rate of 7 is 1 per second. So I'm hearing wah, 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 so I know I'm on the right side there. Then I go down. First thing I do is I give it a bump up, and that way I know which side I'm on. In any case, I'm giving the string some tension, because I know that I'm going to release that tension, jiggling the tuning lever around, to bring it back down to a stable position. So I generally don't detune and then retune again. I generally want to go higher and then knock it back down, because that string is pulling 75 kilos of pull. It wants to pull down. So why do I want to bump it up? Because in the course of playing it, it's going to naturally be relaxing in the tension. So I want it, when I'm finished tuning that note, I want to be able to jiggle that pin around and not have the note change, because those strings are nicely solidly set. You see how I use the tuning hammer in a kind of jerking it. It doesn't have to be solid on that pin and not moving at all. It can be a little bit loose, and that allows you the action of an impact hammer. Now I'm coming up to the C, and I'm going to have it slightly slower than 1 per second. But then I'm already I can go back, I can move forward, then I can come back and recheck and make adjustments. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You constantly make change until you've really made your temperament area. So remember that beat rate against a beat rate. Since I've already tuned that note, I've tuned this. I know that as I'm tuning the B flat, that's going to give a beat rate here of a note that's already tuned. And I know it's going to have to be faster than these notes that I've already tuned. Well, you can already hear it's faster. That's my problem with this temp strip. This note's already been tuned, so as I'm tuning this note, I'm listening for beat rate. And then it gets faster, then it gets slower. Now I'm jumping up to now a lot of time after you've done this, here, and you get up to this one, a lot of times you'll find that you've tightened everything so much that by the time you're tuning this one, you're going to get a beat rate here. It's way too fast. So you got to kind of work yourself backwards and find out where you made the mistake and readjust that. Then you move on to your F sharp. notice that just by giving a slight giving it these jerks or this bumping of the tuning hammer, you can actually feel it when it moves in the wood, in the pin block. So even by giving it little jerks like this, you can actually move that pin in the pin block. Except for pianos that have an extremely tight pin block, then you really have to. Now let's say I can hear that beat rate getting faster and faster as I'm pulling that pin up. Now let's say I want to change the position of the pin in the pin block. So I just pulled it there and I felt it jumping in the pin block. Well, immediately I want to come backwards and release that tension, because I've already put a whole bunch of tension on this part of the string and this part of the string. The speaking length has been bumped up. So I don't want to just take the hammer off, because I know that it'll gradually relax. So I want to relax it by bumping that, making sure that the tension is relaxed on that string, part of the string. And I immediately check my third here. This will be a very, very slow beat rate there. And my B flat, I've already tuned it, so I know that this third is going to be a little bit faster. And then I come up to my B. Now I can hear right away that it was very fast beat rate. Well, as soon as I give a little bit of a torsion there, if in just pulling the tuning pin down and releasing the tension, I hear that beat rate slowing down, then I know already that I was on the high side. And so I need to bring it back down. Now, you can have that fast beat rate if it's way too low. And so if I'm starting to release the tension and that beat rate goes faster, then I know immediately that it was way below pitch. And then I need to bring it clear up above and then bring it back down. So see how I give a little jerk on that tuning pin just to release the tension. Likewise, you see where my thumb is here, and I'm just pulling. Okay, let's say that that's tuned well. Right away. I'm going to hear those tests. I can also do that test of, and there I'm just going to hear that difference between two different beat rates, the 8 and the 7. So it's going to sound like a wah 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 wah. I hear those beat rates go faster and faster as I go up. Okay. Now I've made my more or less accurate, but you get the idea for this video. Now let's say you see when it's a touch-up tuning, all you need is little impacts. You don't need to move that pin completely and then have to bring it all the way back down and back. You just... There's my octave of the F. Right away I check it with... And I hear that beat rate's a bit too fast. Okay, we'll get that in the next video.